Welcome to Creative Spaces Podcast with Guy Zwick, Chief Creative Officer of Highway 85 Creative. In each episode, we will discuss creative ways to define your space and build your brand.
So, welcome to another edition of the Highway 85 Creative Spaces Podcast. And I'm sat across the table in our studio with Chief Creator himself, Guy Zwick. Welcome, Guy.
Welcome.
What are you drinking?
Wake the hell up coffee.
Is that what it's called?
No.
WTHU.
But
coffee.
it's, what are we at here? 2:10. We're on our second Americano, this time iced.
You got that on the way back from your meeting to the studio, right? And you knew you were going to come to meet me. Why don't you think about me? I want a coffee.
Oh, god dang. That is rude of me.
It's all right. So here's what we're going to do. As always, we jump around a bit in this podcast, but one of the main things we want to talk about today is success criteria. Helping brands better plan for success at their event.
Of my coffee.
Come again?
Would you like a sip of my coffee?
No, I've seen how you lick that straw. I'll pass. Thank you. So, success criteria, Mr. We talked about this in an earlier podcast about we just talked about the top of it.
Yeah,
right?
we call it a gift of an organized plan.
So let's talk about that.
Right? So I was recently just trying to take some of my sales process and some influence I was getting from a program strategic coach that has some fantastic content. And I thought, man, my staff's not doing the best job of pulling the criteria to help us make the clients successful at their events and their shows. And then the clients don't, in most cases, really know what they want either. So it was like, how do we just make a tool and make a process that would be even better than what we are currently doing? So we've been massaging this thing for a year now and really putting it to the test. And so, yeah, let's talk about it because, it's simple stuff. It's like simple concepts.
Well, let me back up just for a second before we jump into it. I think for my own clarity, when you meet with a client, a customer, and they're getting ready to do a show, there's a lot of things they could be doing that can really help them prepare for success. The questions you ask yourself before you even go to the show go a long way towards a successful show, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of what this product is for you. You guys already offer this sort of informally now, right? This product, this new professional service.
The product we're talking about, I just want to give this tool out. It was my process,
right?
In essence, that I've just built 20 plus years of designing and selling exhibits. So, I'm not a traditional salesperson. I just don't come in and sell you a widget or, the approach it's different. It's really listening to the client and then asking the right questions to not only get them to the goal line, but get them to the goal line more than once and looking long term and looking short term. And sometimes these marketing managers or even the owners of these companies, this isn't their world, the trade show things. They got a vague idea that they need to be at the event.
Sure.
And they see it like some other marketing. It's a little voodoo. It's hard to measure and all. And you can measure and you can make some better goals and map things out.
You can be quantitative and qualitative in the same thing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I've been not like you, but
that's why we do this podcast, because you're the dictionary. And
Wiki Scott, you like it? So it goes like this. Without throwing any current clients or past clients under the bus here, you mentioned to me before just in conversation that you've been not just surprised but shocked at how many companies don't plan the right way, don't ask themselves the same questions that you might ask them, correct?
Yes.
And so what you're doing is you're helping them get better at their own trade show.
Yes.
So let's say there's
75%. I'm not exaggerating.
That's what I'm asking.
75% of our clients, now that we've been heavy on measuring when we ask these questions and what we get. I didn't used to pay as much attention to measuring, but now I'm measuring.
Right.
75% cannot fill out all 10 items of my success criteria.
So I want to get to this.
And I plug and I can't. And you just asked for an example.
Right.
I got a $5 billion company going to CS with 2 freaking exhibits at this place, spending, let's just say, just on the exhibit side, upwards of $400,000 or $500,000.
Okay.
And I'm piling down on this, and I can't get more than 2 out of a room of 5 individuals to give me what the actual like measurable, like what has to be true when we get to the end after the show. I mean, what do we got to check off? And I'm prying and I'm like,
wow.
And I could get nothing tangible. I've got to make it. And that's the other thing. If they can't get it, well, we want to help them set the benchmarks for them. But I had 3. One was I give them a break. They were new. They're a first-time exhibitor. But the other 2 were very big companies and experience. And then, a couple weeks ago, I had another one where I went to a nice $100 million inspiring company, and boy, they had it all. I mean, I didn't have room on my sheets, and I'm taking notes. So I'm not saying that no one does it right, but
no, but hey, let me go.
If they spent the time to do it,
when Guy's talking about a sheet, and he has this, it's a sort of an internal planning sheet he's used for his clients.
This thing right here.
And I took a picture of it, and we'll make sure we show it. But the bottom line is, when you go to a client, you're asking them questions that they really should have been asking themselves all throughout this. So
sure,
I'm going to a show.
What's the biggest difference this is going to make? What's the success criteria we talk about? What that means? What has to be true when this event is over, or you buy this booth and you've used it, let's say, for 3 years? Setting some of these things to what are the obstacles? What are the challenges that you see? And then that maybe we can work together and see what they are together. And then, what's worked in the past? What hasn't worked in the past? And then the goal. And I think the goal should be established after you've run yourself through all these other thought processes and questions. Right. And then you've taken those obstacles. Me and the client have worked on strategies. And then most of the time that goal that was lingering as what they thought was has either really been refined and it's laser sharp, or it's not even what they thought it was.
Completely different.
It's completely different.
So okay. And again, this is for
it's real. Everything I just said is really simple,
right?
But if you do it in the right chronological order and you really put some brain power into it and you ask some different questions, I'm talking about the clients themselves.
You're the clients themselves office, right? You're talking to them.
I'm really working with them. Then as from a company like us who's going to help you design and build something and then possibly help you amp your services with all the ancillary things.
We'll come back to the amp in a moment, but when it comes on the planning side, right? Who's there at the client's office? Is it you with the trade show manager, or ideally shouldn't the entire stakeholder team be there? Right, and give me the environment where this thing works the best, where the success criteria consultation kickoff, if you will, works simple.
The person who cares the most should be in that meeting.
Well, okay,
and that may not be the ownership either. At that point, that might not be the biggest thing on their plate, but in the end, from my standpoint, I want someone who's passionate. So I don't care if it's the receptionist or the marketing manager, the sales manager, the owner, the operations manager, whoever they put in charge. I just want them to be passionate, because that's how you're going to get the results. I'm being serious.
No, but I'd argue though that yes, you want to talk to the most. There's going to be at any given company, there's going to be several people that are going to be involved in putting this event on.
Yeah.
So you don't just want the event manager to do it. That event manager's boss needs to be bought in. The CEO, the owner needs to be bought in at some point, right? Because you talked about measurement.
But there's some certain amount of responsibility if you're the companies that you're hiring, like someone like Highway 85,
right?
Hopefully has a skill set to understand your company's core values, its mission, its goals, and all those aspects of it, let alone helping you identify the criteria and the goals of the event or the show. And then lastly, the financial piece and how that all works.
And you're saying,
I didn't mean anybody, but
no, of course.
I am.
I'm asking questions as a
delivery person
folks
who's the most passionate
that we talk
person
to
at
on
their
this
company.
on the show, right? The folks that we're talking to are trade show people, event managers. Maybe there's some partners of ours. There's people who are in charge of putting on an event for their company.
Half our people that have to plan the 1 or 2 shows. Doing trade shows isn't their primary thing.
Yeah, I guess you're
You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
And so a lot of them feel inadequate and it's like a burden to jump these, even though they're important. They should know that, some of these people that they get hired full time to plan all 80 events and just nothing but run their team through.
Right.
They're not necessarily that far advanced than you are either in this stuff. So
it's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Then there's some amazing people that even inspire us how
how deep they go,
progressive, how deep they go, and how organized they are. So,
But the success criteria, I call it a consultation. When you go to your clients, you talk and you walk them through this template that you want to share with your clients. Is that an hour-long thing? Is that a 5-hour-long thing? Like, what's a typical?
It's a gift.
How do you mean?
No, it's a gift. I want them to know that we're not just there to sell them something or get some information so we can come back again and sell them something. We're there to give them a gift, which is an organized plan.
Right.
Whether we get it or not, once we gather that information, do the mind share is what we're calling the mind sharing, and then we're going to come back with an organized plan. This is all gifts that we don't care if you take it to another company. You need this before anybody can even design the booth or help you plan the actual event.
You mentioned measurement, right? Qualitative, quantitative. This gift, this basically, what you're doing, and again, I'm repeating myself, but I think it should be repeated. You're giving clients a chance to really plan the right way, correctly. Don't spend a dime before you know why you're spending money. What are you going to the show for? What are your main objectives? What are you trying to accomplish? Because too many people, too many companies go to a booth, go to a show. We better be there because, well, our competitors are there and we'll be conspicuous in our absence. And we're going to show up with some nice branded shirts and a couple giveaways and some demos, and hopefully we'll get a couple badges scanned, and that's our leads, and that's a success.
And I call everybody out on
and
that.
That's what I'm saying.
Passionate.
Let's talk about that.
They cannot have that mindset.
What do you do?
That literally drives me nuts.
When they say that's all we need to do? What drives you nuts?
What would I love to do?
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to just get up and say, well, you don't need to go to a trade show then. Save your money.
You should do that.
That would be an amazing.
I think you're in a position to do that. You have a very robust client base now,
yes.
but you love your customers, and so you want to see them succeed.
No.
Go.
Yeah, no, that's asking the tough questions to them at that point to really call their bluff. And usually what you find out is that they haven't taken they do want to be there, and they haven't taken the right mindset probably for a long time, because at one point I'm sure they went with the right mindset.
Right.
And then, you fall complacent to it. And this is back to where we talk about having some measurable goals every single show, and then even some goals that maybe have some longer legs. Trade shows and that kind of marketing, traditional marketing, as sometimes the dividends don't pay off right off at the beginning. But if you're identifying those things and measuring those afterwards, and you're really, getting a whole bunch every time you're reevaluating, getting whatever. I like 10. And you're being able to check off 80% of them, success criteria. Okay.
So in the end,
then you don't feel like you're wasting your money.
10 success criteria. What you're saying is there's going to be, at the end of the show, my goal is to have all 10 of these boxes checked, as an example?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And give me an example of one success criteria. Make one up or pull one from an old client, or...
Well, I have one right in front of me. I'll read you. How about we just do the top 3?
Okay.
This client's was the immediate first impression of their event would be wow. They want to sell the event out at 25 to 2,700 people. They need to convert 6% of the prospects. I'm giving. I don't want.
Sure, that's good enough.
Keep reading, but meet all the NPS goals.
The first one?
I have there is a ton here. I got more on this one, and that's fantastic. So when we're designing the space and we're organizing the flow of the traffic, and now we're incorporating what the sales team needs and what the engineering team needs and what the ownership wants in the meeting, we know that we're doing this for the goal. So when we come with a design, that's part of the design process. I say, look, check. We're putting all these pieces in place. You know what I mean?
I do. This is a bit salesy, but I'm not part of Highway 85. I'm just a partner of yours. But that's kind of what this. If what you do is you help clients and customers define their space, you can't build it. You can't build it unless you define it, right? So
that's our mantra: define your space.
And I love it. But that's the thing.
Call this. Yeah, it is. It's the roadmap. It's the road.
It is a
success
roadmap.
Worksheet is what we're calling it now.
So you meet with them, and before you even propose to them on this modular or custom booth or whatever it needs to be, the answers that you need to build this out the right, to custom craft this, to purpose build this thing, is answered, or it's informed by this success criteria roadmap that you've developed. And the best thing about that is, okay, it's a great success criteria for that booth, but that might transcend for other marketing bits, like you said. They might in this exercise, they might identify, wow, what we really want to do is build up our network in this specific area, for example. So that's cool. So in what the part of the process where you build the success criteria worksheet or playbook out is you haven't even won the job yet. You're still, more times than not,
No, we haven't won the job yet. And if let's just say you're the trade show marketing or a marketing manager and you're struggling with this thing, you're going to want to figure it out. Please let us help you figure this out because we want you to do this on your own. I don't want to be the only expert. If I'm an ownership or upper brass and the person I have in charge of this can't put this type of plan together, then there's a serious problem.
Right.
Like I don't have maybe I don't have the right vision or goals being expressed down here, or I got dollars going to get wasted here. So,
it's a lot. Yeah.
When
you talk, this is a.
Can I give you a funny? Let's just because we had one of our 101s with Joe Ruby.
Okay.
And we pushed him for something.
Joe Ruby is
our project coordinator. But
Gotcha.
Did you hear the minibar pricing?
No
Statement?
No.
Go ahead, Angelina, tell us. But
well, you got to come to the mic.
You got to come to the mic. So
set this up. What are we talking about?
Why I'm setting this up is because we were just talking about. You were just starting to lean into. Hey, these things aren't cheap.
Right.
Like going to trade shows is not a cheap endeavor. It's a lot of money spent, a lot of resources for a 3-day event to get your whole team, and there's all kinds of wonderful stuff about it. And but Joe Ruby had a really kind of funny way of putting it. Joe, could you give us your mini bar pricing anecdote on our podcast?
Well,
set it up how you need to, but
no, trade shows are enormously expensive activities, and for most people, they feel like they're being robbed, which, in point of fact, they are. But it's outrageous, and one of the funny things is, when the hurricanes hit in Florida and Houston, people were complaining that cases of water were being sold for $100, and then that was outrageous. And I said, well, then don't go to the San Francisco to the convention center because a case of water is $127. So, you have to kind of understand the whole process. But the best way to think about it is trade shows are essentially everything is mini bar pricing, and if that bothers you, you need to stay home because everything is going to be expensive. And routinely we spend more money moving stuff in and out of a convention center than we do shipping it across the country.
Right.
And in all of those cases, it's best to accept it as a cost of doing business, and that's what it is, and you're not going to get it any cheaper anywhere else.
Right. That's a beautiful way. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. And more the reason to really have an organized plan before you ever spend the dollar and go to the trade show. You need to reach those freaking goals.
Right. You don't want to be standing on a convention center floor trying to figure out how to save a nickel, because at that point it's much too late. But if you plan ahead and say, these are the things I need to accomplish, these are the people I need to talk to, all of that, you can tailor your trade show booth and the whole experience to your budget. It's not to say that you have to spend a fortune, but if you're not careful, you will.
Excellent. Joe, thank you for the show. I think he's my new co-host. I don't want you anymore.
That might be be good, because you know what? He does give zingers. So
I want to. So that exact zinger is on Facebook.
It is.
So in the write-up, it is.
But the way I described it, where he's like, no, and then
that's
it comes
all on
to
there?
life.
I got to do that. All right, that's good.
If you go to a trade show and you get that one client who is worth $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 or whatever, the fact that you spent $2,000 on electricity is a lot less painful.
Right.
And so you kind of have to put it all in perspective.
These days, as you know, you're going to spend a lot of money on a show. The prerequisite is you're going to spend a lot of money. Knowing that, you damn well better have your plan in place. Why are we going? what are we trying to achieve? And if you can't get those plus a few more other goals you can measure, right, then don't do it. And this is kind of going back full circle, you're continually surprised at how many folks, big brands included, don't ask themselves these questions. They just show up and they don't really have an idea on what they want to accomplish.
But by the way, just saying I want more leads or I want to convert more isn't enough either.
Right.
You got to pile down on those. You got to keep going with that, right? Well, who's following up on these leads and who are you sending?
What's the process?
And what's the process and what's the touch points and then how are we following up and how are we doing? You know what I mean? So,
but
what's the person's takeaway when they hit the booth? And there's a lot more than just that one.
Let me ask you this question.
Give me more leads.
Does that come up? Do those questions come up in the success criteria that you're building?
Sometimes they get that deep, like that when you see started getting that deep, and the conversations got that.
But
deep.
is your
and
goal?
Other
what
ones
is your
are,
goal
you
for
give,
these things?
You give you talking points to say, okay, well now you need to take this to your sales team, and you guys talk about how you're going to get that goal. I'll help you get those leads, and then you figure out how we're going to help you get, or them and you are going to help convert the 6% that you want out of that. So.
Gotcha.
Call it 12 and we'll hit 9 and then you'll be super excited.
I like it. All right. Success Criteria by Joe and Guy. Thanks for coming. All right. I'm going to talk about something else. It's related to the success criteria, this whole, how can I do good at this trade show roadmap? And I think we touched upon it before, but something that we are both near and dear to is something called AMP services. You know what your message is. You know you're going to go to the show. You know what the flow is going to be. You know what your goals are. But there is a way to better promote your being at that show. There is a way to, digitally and otherwise, amp your event. And so let's talk about AMP services.
Yeah, AMP event services, right? So it's initially for us right now. We're working with clients on it, and we're trying to perfect our skill set there, right? So we're going to spend the next probably 12, 18 months diving in full force. And let me explain to you what that is. But firsthand, we're building a big resource tool just to get people's heads around all the different things that they could do outside of the actual exhibit event itself to amp it up, if you will, whether it's Instagram, QR codes, spinning wheels, gumball giveaways, pre-show mailers, podcasts, Facebook Live, just taking all these other things that are some traditional media, some social media, some creative theme things, and basically how do you amp this event to make it pop, to get to meet those success criteria, to get the exposure that you're looking for your brand to take off, to maybe get some piece of content that goes viral, to add more value at a trade show. And it's getting dabbled in different areas, and some of the big dogs are doing it, and even incorporating VR and some other things, and turning these things into events, like your booth space becoming like an event where your staff at your company is watching daily what's happening, and they're getting pumped up, and your customers and vendors are able to see things, or they get home and it's in their feeds, or it's in the city that you're at, and I'm going, don't stop me, I'm on a roll, baby, I'm on a roll. No, sorry.
No,
so it's not utilized enough, and I think it will be at some point, but a lot of these companies don't even really do, especially on the social media. They don't do a lot of it very well already, or they don't see the value in it. And I tell you, one place they can see the value in it is at these trade shows for sure. So, anyways, so AMP, that's the whole amping your
event.
So it's a separate plan too, right? So you've got the exhibit and the goals and some of the more traditional stuff, and then there's this like, okay, so how do I put the icing on the cake and the the sprinkles and the pretty, the other little stuff to really take it to the next level. So,
and this is a
and it's going to be standard practice at some point. It'll just be a part of trade shows 10 years from now.
And I think the folks that get it are already doing that. But so this is something that Highway 85 offers today. Is it sort of a separate services line? Is it more
right now it's educational.
Okay.
So we want to have this conversation with people, get their heads around it.
Okay.
And then notice, what they may or may not be doing.
That's
and
nice.
and hey, let's try this.
Like
and let's try this together.
We did talk about a lot today. We talked about this, basically a roadmap for success, the success criteria, worksheet that you're going to bring to every one of your clients and prospects. And you're also going to be really more formally announcing amped services. So when you talk to a client about their upcoming show, there are additive digital plus services that you can offer to help them even make.
We want to provide more value
to your clients
than the client expects. Like we want to rock star it for them,
All right. So we talked
it's
about
the Highway 85 magic.
You guys should wear like little top hats. That we covered a bunch today. And I think we talked about Gary Vee. We'll come back to that later. We talked about AMP services. We'll have a full-on dedicated one for that. We are in a future episode very, very soon. We are going to interview. We're going to have this podcast go on location at one of your
Nexus 21. So excited!
One of your great clients. Great example of how to do things the correct way.
Yeah, man, they're awesome.
AMP services, planning the right way, like the whole nine.
Yep.
Okay. So that'll be next. And we got a chance to scare Angelina one more time.
All right. Have a
thanks for coming, everybody.
Have a great day, great evening,
chatting.
Great morning whenever you're listening to this. Bye-bye now.
Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to Creative Spaces Podcast. For more information about Highway 85 Creative, visit us at highway85creative.com.